When my sister first told me about the series on Netflix, I was immediately uninterested. The show sounded lame. The storyline of the show was something that I was never really intrigued in. My sister then forced me to sit down and watch the first episode. For many of you who know me or those who don't know me, I consider myself a pretty stubborn person. Within the first 5 minutes of season 1, episode 1, I was immediately hooked. Coming from a person who has now watched The Vampire Diaries 5 times, I can assure you that it is the best vampire show/movie there is. While I'm assuring you that The Vampire Diaries is amazing and no other show compares, but it also has the best plot, best characters, and shares different vampire characteristics. The Vampire Diaries offers a more realistic and engaging experience for the viewers. The Vampire Diaries is a TV show that's based off of a town that was once taken over by vampires, and at one point they were all destroyed, at least to the people they were. This show is about vampires coming back to Mystic Falls and a girl who is torn between two brothers. As for Twilight, that show is about a girl who falls in love with a vampire and wants to become a vampire. As you can see, the two shows share some similar characteristics. However, let's think about this. The plot in The Vampire Diaries is way better and more suspenseful, because when Elena fell in love with the vampire, she ended up becoming a vampire, and she did not want to. But when she did turn into a vampire, she ended up being sire to Damon, and that's how their whole love relationship even started. As for Bella, when she was turned into a vampire, she always wanted to be one as soon as she met Edward. And when she did, nothing big really happened. She still loved Edward. The story plot between the two can play a big role in why The Vampire Diaries is the best, but the characters will have you even more convinced. Between The Vampire Diaries and Twilight, each involve a girl who falls in love with a vampire. Let's break things down between them. Elena, she was the puzzle piece of the show. She's the reason why the Salvatore brothers even became brothers again. As for Bella, she tore the Cullen family apart because all she did was take Edward away from them and had no time for his own family. And now on to Damon from The Vampire Diaries. He was known as the bad boy in the show, but was never really bad. All his intentions were meant to be good, they just never turned out the way that he wanted them to be. And for Edward from Twilight, he was very old soul and very cold towards everyone. He was even very cold towards Bella in the beginning. Damon is a great character in The Vampire Diaries because he starts off bad but changes when he meets Elena. Damon is better than Edward because he has more of the positive progression throughout the show. And now on to the last two characters. I have Stefan from The Vampire Diaries. He was known as the noble man in the show. He was the hero for everyone. He put everyone before himself. And as for Jacob from Twilight, he was very aggressive towards everyone when he was going through his wolf stage. And he was very obsessed with Bella also. As you can see who the better person is out of them. Stefan was the better person because when it came to the love of their lives being taken away from them, Stefan still loved Elena and Damon with everything that he had and would do anything to protect them. And as for Bella, he hated Edward and Bella being together, and he tried to do almost everything that he could to take them apart. All characters play a huge role, some being human, some being vampire, and some being werewolves. But vampires share different qualities and characteristics as well. Many of you know vampires hate being in the sun, and they can't stand light. Meanwhile, in Twilight, you can go in the sun, and you literally sparkle. The vampires in Twilight also look very pale and still look very dead. Versus the vampires in The Vampire Diaries, they have this ring made with the witch's magic that allows them to go in the sun and be perfectly okay. But, however, if you take the ring off, they start to blister, and they start to burn. It burns their skin. Sounds more real because vampires are supposed to hate the sun, right? But with the help of magic, you can look as normal and be as normal as possible. Vampires in Twilight also have less self-control than the vampires in Vampire Diaries. Because, for example, on Bella's 18th birthday party, when she was opening her gift, she cut her finger on a piece of paper, and instantly Jasper tried to attack her. And as for the Vampire Diaries, they have more self-control, because when you turn into a Ripper, you don't care about anything or anyone. And when Stefan would turn into a Ripper, he was compelled to kill Elena, and he resisted with everything he had and told her to run. And nobody can break a compulsion. Because the characteristics and qualities that the characters had in The Vampire Diaries, it made it 10 times more intriguing than Twilight. The Vampire Diaries had more action and more intense parts. As you can see, this is my graph of The Vampire Diaries and Twilight. I picked 10 people from each grade, 5 being girls and 5 being boys. And Vampire Diaries won every time, and I made sure that I asked everyone that watched each show. The Vampire Diaries offers an experience that is more engaging for the viewers. While explaining all reasons that The Vampire Diaries is the best, I've gone over the plot, which clearly The Vampire Diaries is 10 times more interesting and exciting. We have discussed characters from the 2 main girls to all mixed loves. And last but not least, we have talked about the different qualities that the vampires hold. And everybody knows vampires don't sparkle. As someone who is extremely stubborn and was completely against movies with vampires in them, I can honestly say with my right hand on the Bible that I have watched all 8 seasons, 171 episodes of The Vampire Diaries 5 times, and I can assure you that and it's like watching them all for the first time.